Hey guys, this is Tam, just jumping on quickly to warn you, around the 30-minute mark we're going to lose our good quality audio for about 7 minutes. So if you stick around, thank you very much first of all, and second of all, it will be back, like I said, in 7 minutes. Thank you, enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the STCfit podcast. I'll be your host today. My name's Nat Jurek, and with me I'll be joined by Ben Scott and Jason Galea. STCfit are a group of coaches who provide premium coaching and education services to high-achieving women who want to ditch the frustration and achieve the results they want when they want. On the podcast, we'll be discussing all things related to our 5-step method to experiencing total clarity in knowing how to achieve your goals, present and future. The podcast is brought to you by @STCfit for all your online and personal training needs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a share and tag @NatJurek_STCfit, @BenScottSTC, and @JasonGalea_STC. Hope you enjoy the show.
Your face, if you really want to get me freaking out. I'm just like...
Yeah, bad. That, and it got way worse from there. The ones from...
Really? I thought that was like peak.
No. The ones from when I competed with you guys in July.
Were worse.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. We're trying to find them.
Tam was on the floor shooting up. Yeah, I haven't posted anything. So... Like, all the nice ones of me, like, there's one I think you posted of me standing behind you. It's not too bad.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a couple that, I'm with my clients. And it's like, holy shit.
It's so funny because don't ask me why me and Alex were going through Instagram archives. Well, we were. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, okay, let's try and find more. And then there was nothing. And I'm like, oh, maybe that was like peak.
Nah.
Bulk Ben.
No, that was... Comp was fat Ben. Comp was seriously fat Ben.
Now you're little skinny Ben.
Yeah, I've lost nearly 11 kilos since that
You can
meet.
tell the most in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're on a story, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, there was I don't know how, there was like a backlog of a video that Tam posted a YouTube video that I'd recorded back then. Like it must have just been ahead of the schedule or whatever. And it came up and was like, yeah, not pretty. My skin was
funny.
Like grey and fucking it just looked so unhealthy.
When we were competing and there was that I think you went to do like a story and you print screened it and you sent it to me and you like, tell me you're like peaking for comp without telling me you're peaking for comp.
So haggard, man.
And then like 2 weeks later, like you made another one and it was like night and day, like different person. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So can the YouTubers see this? Are we that level yet? Tam's come up with a screen for us.
That's a big jumper.
Yeah,
that'd be addressed on you now.
Yeah, well, this is an XL, which solves that, and my XL wardrobe officially doesn't fit.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a really big jumper.
And Amy's like, you wanted oversized clothes though, because when I was that size, I was like, I fucking want everything to just hang off me. And I'm like, no, too big for you and oversized aren't the same thing.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh well, you're obviously like miles away from that now.
Yeah, I think 11 kilos down. I wanted another couple, but we'll see. I've got to survive. I have my bucks this weekend.
Yeah,
so
well,
that'll
be a write-off then.
And then, yeah.
Wedge shred will be done soon.
Yeah, we might, I think we got 2 weeks after that. So it might just be haggard. Or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weekends.
Fuck. So soon.
Yeah.
So exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yay.
Yeah.
Can't wait. So that's a really good intro to the topic for today. Goal setting.
We're on.
Yeah, so...
Getting shredded for weds.
Well, yeah, I think like it's that time of year.
Cheers, by the way.
Oh, the coffee.
Thank you, Tam.
Thanks, Tam. We have little... What is it? A Vietnamese coffee?
Yeah, lethal. Tam's just... Nat's informed us that she already
had a
doesn't
lot
feel
of
good.
caffeine. I had my standard normal 2 and then like I just have 3 every second fortnight on a Wednesday.
2 days in a row, I've like pushed my first coffee back. So before you came yesterday, because it was like 10, I was like, yeah, that's pushing it. If I have 2 in that time, you won't be able to speak for the whole time you're at my house.
This is true. This is very true.
So I was like, all right, I'll push that back. And then I woke up this morning and messaged Tam like, are you going to have coffee at 10 ready for us? And he like didn't reply for ages. I'm like, fuck, do I have one? So I don't want to get there. Like I won't warm up now till like 15 minutes in because that coffee will start to kick in. But
Well, we only got our coffee machine like a few nights into being at the new place, and that meant we had to wake up, go for a walk, and get a coffee.
Yeah.
And we're going for a walk, and Alex is like, "You're having withdrawals." And I was like, I actually am. Like, I literally am in the worst mood. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone.
No shit.
I was so tired. And then
Yeah.
as soon as we have the coffee, which is like literally just up the street, I'm like, fine.
I actually do that on the weekends, and I don't notice it. I just go very insular. Like, I'm not actually upset. I'm just very insular. And Amy's like,
yeah.
"Are you okay?" Like, we'll be on the way to a cafe or something, or going to someone's house, and I know we're gonna have coffee. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?"
Yeah.
She's like, "You haven't said a word." I'm like, "Oh, I just haven't had coffee yet."
Yeah, I always used to joke about it, like, I'm not getting out of bed until I have a coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's actually true. Like, it's actually true. Like, I literally have withdrawals, which is kind of fucked. But then we got the coffee machine, and I was like, yay.
Yeah.
All good.
How's life out of home?
It's good. It's really good. The only, like, shit part is I haven't got my desk moved in yet. So, like, I'm just sitting on the floor with a coffee table, which is a nightmare. And then tomorrow I've got, like, a bunch of stuff to record for the course and YouTube content and whatnot. So I'm just going, like, back to my old bedroom, but we'll move that over and, like, try and sort things out and get a nice light and fix something up. It's big, but it's not big enough to have a proper office space.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like something that I really wanted, so that's annoying. But I mean, it can't be any worse than like what I had. So
Yeah, it's probably still an upgrade. You can get like for use of space. So the podcast studio came about because Amy wanted a shoe rack from IKEA.
You always go to IKEA for one thing.
We were walking around IKEA. Turns out that the shoe rack was shit. But I walked past the business section.
Oh no!
And I was like, "Oh, this looks nice." So then, the next 4 days was building a podcast studio.
Oh my god!
But they have like square shaped desks that you'd be able to set up be on either side of, which would probably be useful.
Yeah.
They do have height adjustable ones, but I feel like you'd have to. Can we stand up now? Like, you have to ask the other person. Like
are we both doing this now?
Can we do standing desks for the next 10 minutes?
Yeah. Well, it's not too bad. Like, I haven't got it in yet, but I was like measuring in feet. Like, we got to my house and I was like, okay, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I came back to like our place and I was like, okay, it'll fit here and like whatnot, but we'll just have to put it in and see how it goes. But I think the good thing is that I don't spend any other time in my bedroom now. Because, like, we've got the lounge room, like, we've got the kitchen, like, obviously we've got other space. So I don't need
just to use other parts of the
house.
house.
Yeah, I do. I was like, I only sleep in my bedroom. I don't work in there anymore, so that's nice.
That's my favourite thing when we go away and
I'm like Harry Potter and I just, like...
It's like, send a picture of Indy and it's Indy's in the bedroom. It's like, nah, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We have a couch and a bigger TV in there. Like,
I know.
And snacks really close by, and a fridge, like, and a coffee machine.
Yeah, I know, but it's good, and we obviously have our TV now, so
yeah,
I don't sit like a little hermit in my bed in the corner of the bed watching on my laptop.
Yeah.
So
what's the lighting like? Do you get lots of natural light in there?
Yeah, we do, because we have a huge window in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Which is nice because it's like facing the park, so it's just like all this greenery. Like, it's a really nice like area, and that just comes like straight in. And then we've got a couple of other windows, but we need to like replace the blinds because at night it's really bright still. And there's fucking possums on the roof.
I started wearing a eye mask to bed.
Really, actually,
it's actually made a big difference.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Now, there's like possums, like, 'cause the trees are really big.
Yeah.
So they jump from the tree onto the roof, and it is so fucking loud. First time it happened, I was like, what is that? And I was just like, it's just the possums. Your dad told us that would happen. And I was like, no. Like, what the fuck is that? Shit,
someone's coming through the roof.
Literally.
Nah,
so.
The natural light thing, particularly working from home full time. So, like, when our place in Essendon, I'm not sure if you remember how dark it was in there. And it was like, I went out of the gym and into there, and like the first 3 months I was just like going crazy, and like I have to go walk to get coffee every day, even though I have a coffee machine, just to go outside.
Yeah, it's so dark.
So yeah,
yours is nice now because you got the skylight.
Yeah, the new place is good.
Yeah, that's good.
And like that side of the house is all windows as well, whereas that place, all the windows were on the dark side of the house. So even though it was greenery,
I never saw that. I never went there.
Didn't you?
No, that was pre my time.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
You're still
Long
fresh.
time ago now, I know. This is still like the newest.
Yeah, I think you were probably, you would have
Just
been
after.
part of the team, but maybe not like come to my house yet.
Yeah,
Hadn't
I wasn't a
decided that-
child yet.
hadn't
I
decided
don't
that
know if I like you yet.
Oh, you were on Team Yoda as well.
Oh yeah.
So we probably wouldn't have interacted that much.
No, we didn't. That's so funny. I totally forgot that was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
Separate. Like you are
Team
children
Jason.
of Jason and you are children of Ben. And you guys don't mingle with each other either.
Until we have an event and everyone just
Stands
awkwardly
there.
looks at each other.
Except I never got to go to them because no one invited me.
Hey, Jason, you were on Team Jason and Jason didn't invite you.
Yeah, so no one really wanted me around. So I know where I stand. It's all right.
So backstory for that one, guys. We used to run education. Was it every week or every fortnight or monthly? I can't remember.
It was monthly, I think.
Monthly? It got further away. Yeah. You're becoming more and more. I'm just going to start calling you Jamie. Like on Rogan. It's like, just if we need a stat, just ask Tam.
Tam knows everything.
Now we've got the screen up so we can Google shit. We can.
Yeah,
this is bad. But yeah, so Nat's first one was our last one that we ever ran, and we moved them online after that. And we messaged Nat at 10 past, why aren't you here? And she
No,
and we weren't there.
I went, and no, I wasn't even in the team chat, dogs. No one put me in the team chat. I was there for like 3 months, and there was a little team chat going on I had no idea about. And luckily, Jace was working at the gym at the time, so like I get there on a Friday, mind you, which wasn't supposed to be there, had nothing better to do than go to the gym for no reason. And like I get there and I'm sitting on the bench, and Jace just looks at me, looks back, looks at me. And he's like, oh, fuck. And he's like, did you get the message? And I'm like, what message? And he's like, are you in the group? And I'm like, what group? And he's like, I'm sorry, but it's not on. And I will add you to the group now. And then I'm pretty sure after that, the group didn't get used anyway. So.
Yeah, we moved on.
So there you go. I still survived. 3 years later, I'm still here.
Fuck, that's hilarious. 3 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on. 19, 20, 21. This will be 4th.
Yeah, mad. Yeah.
Wild.
2 years in lockdown.
Yeah.
Survived.
Yeah. 1 year in the gym.
I feel like,
How funny, only 1 year in the gym.
I think of like PTs that started like around when you did. It's like got 6 months, maybe a year in, and then had to deal with COVID for that next 2 years. Because it was like was around so long, and was just like, it's still a less time than what I've done it for. But you've been in turmoil for more time than you've been in normal.
Been online more than I have been in the gym.
Yeah.
How wild.
Yeah, I think that's becoming more and more normal.
Yeah.
But just the
way that it happened.
Yeah. Like writing programs with people at home and all that kind of shit.
Like you got forced to do that.
Yeah.
Not by choice.
Yeah.
I don't want to go online. University's like.
Yeah, everyone asks me like, oh, how are you going? It's like, oh, I actually went online like 8 months before.
By choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was ahead of the curve.
Trendsetter.
Yeah.
Now everyone works from home and I don't feel special anymore.
Yeah. You're just one of the rest of everyone
else.
else.
Like all the corporate world works from home. So
not special.
We did obviously like some goals for yourself.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into like the content for today. What are you most excited about for this year? Having gone through.
Oh, that's a very hard question. I'm like, where do I start? Like I was thinking about it yesterday after I left. And then I was talking to Alex about it. And I was like, I was laying in bed and I couldn't sleep because I was just thinking about it. Like
Got
I was
her, yes.
so excited. Yeah, that's when you know it's legit. And I was like, fuck, like thinking of ideas. And I was like, I need to stop right now because we need to sleep. Like, it's not time to think about this.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Did you write them all down?
Yeah.
I have a notes section.
Yeah, notes out. I genuinely don't even know where to start because I think we've had this vision for a really long time. And like I said to you yesterday, it's probably the first time that I can start to see it come into fruition. So I'm like, okay, like I can see everything actually happening in real life rather than it just being a pipe dream.
Yeah.
So that's probably the coolest part, like actually just seeing the lifters circle. Obviously we start Be Bulletproof next week. We put together the workshops, which is like night and day from our last round of the course. So I'm excited to run those. And then probably just like building the team, like putting on other coaches, creating an environment, having a bigger online presence, having more online clients. Now we've got Mighty Networks and like the Lifters Circle where everyone can start to interact with each other. Like, that's probably what I'm the most excited for, because it's what's been lacking over the last,
that community
few
element.
years.
Yeah.
And even just like,
It's pretty hard to build community when everyone's stuck in a house.
it is, yeah. And even just like having a bigger network of like coaches and like-minded people to bounce off, and people who are invested in the same thing as what we are.
Yeah.
Which obviously we speak about the same things, but we have people come in and out, and I would love to just have like that core group that everyone's just like got the same vision. We all see the same future, for the brand, for the clients, for themselves. Like, for me, that's the most exciting part.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because I've been going down this NFT space.
Yeah.
I look at business in a slightly different way. And I guess we're kind of turning the page where it's like, when I think of STCfit now, it's like, it's still my baby. Like, it's been like 10 years of kind of development in it, but it's like, that's Nat's thing. And then, like, we're developing learning, but I know, like, that's Jace's thing.
Yeah.
Like, overall, like, he's responsible for that. So, for me, it's, like, all the other ventures that we're starting to kind of put together, which is exciting. Like, more innovative stuff that other people aren't really doing in the fitness industry yet, to kind of bring this whole thing together.
Yeah.
From an STCfit specific thing, the district itself, so the STCfit district, which is our community hub, that stands out as one. If we can get it right and people actually start to interact and stuff. But the other one that I'm really keen for, because it's in the past, it's made such a big difference to that community, is the lift-offs and photo shoots.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Alex about that this morning.
Yeah. Like, the best events we've run have been those. And then, like, leading up to and after that, the community vibe and the interactions and all of that just, like, goes through the roof.
Yeah.
And the day is really, really cool to actually, because, like, I know you're the same. Like, I haven't met half my clients.
Yeah, no. And we haven't had the opportunity to.
Yeah. So it's like, when everyone comes together in the same place, it's really, really cool to see that all happen. I usually try and take at least a couple minutes at some point to just stand at the back of the room and just be like, this is fucking cool, sort of thing. So, yeah, from STCfit, there's that. And then I think I said this without thinking the other day, like, we're talking about the learning side of things, that, like, we create the podcast and all of that for how we were as trainers back then. And I remember, like, being a lifter myself, and it was like, Jace was my coach, but none of my mates trained. There was nowhere else I could sort of go and be in a group of people that sort of did that. And there was nowhere to go learn, particularly without heaps of resistance or paying heaps of money to go learn shit. And it's like this podcast, the book, the blogs, the website, all of that coming together, as much as it's just, like, obviously to generate new client business. Thinking of someone who never ever even pays us, that listens to every episode of the podcast, writes a book, blah, 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 who goes and gets a result off the back of that. Yeah. Like, that's mad. Yeah. To just not even know that happened, like, that is a cool thing as well. Yeah, well, I guess it's like, even when you get those messages when it's like someone that you're speaking to and they're like, hey, listen to the podcast, it changed this, or I did this, and, like, as a result, like, this is what I've done. You have that story with, I think, the woman that you met up with, where, like, you never worked with her. Yeah. And she's like, got my period back by following your advice. Then I felt pregnant. Now I'm pregnant again. Like, that's the impact that you can make. And I think, obviously, like, that's the best part, because, like, you're not even, like, one-on-one invested with this person. Yeah, and that's, like, our sort of goal is become the number one, like, fitness brand in the world. And that comes with lots of those outcomes that we'll never see. Yeah. And that's, as much as, like, I'm not discounting the fact that, like, I don't care about my clients. Yeah. Everyone come and get results just from the podcast. But it's like that, it's just a cool thing to create something that services a wider community more than just the people that pay you. It's funny that you mentioned the lift off, because this morning when we were walking, Alex was like, when's the lift off? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, probably mid-year. Like, we haven't set a date yet. And then, like, I said, are you thinking about it? And he's like, oh, yeah, maybe. And then I was like, yeah, me too. And he's like, what? Like, this is so random. Oh, shit. I know. And I was like, he's like, you know what changed? Like, you know what? Because I've been, like,
fuck barbell. I don't want to squat, bench, deadlift for the next like 10 years. And then I was like, the exact same thing that you just said. I'm like, every single time we've done it, I've been in the middle of another prep. And the environment and the community and just that day in and of itself, I was like, I need a training goal to start off with. But second to that, like, it's just fun. Like, it's just cool to like do that, especially alongside clients.
Yeah.
Like, I think that just the environment that it generates is really cool to be a part of. So I was like, fuck, like, I'll do it. Like, you know?
That's mad.
Yeah, so
I'm torn about it because I have a goal again on goals.
Yeah.
My training goals for the year are, I'm going to find out today what my running time goal is going to be because I've never tested.
Really? So you're doing that today?
Yeah, we'll go on the track straight after this. So I'll update that in terms of, because I just don't have a reference point of how fast I run now and how much I can actually improve.
Yeah.
And then to also like total 6 times body weight and try and do that in the same week.
Yeah.
So like manage both goals all the way through.
Yeah, fuck.
Because I'm psycho.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I wouldn't mind doing that at a lift off. I don't know if I could run a day and perform. Also whether or not I'll just go do a sanction meet. Or just play around. Because like the last one I jumped in for the deadlifts and it was really fun.
Yeah.
It's like, Jace, you can just judge the deads.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Fine.
Like you can still MC and judge deadlifts at the same time. It's fine. Whereas, yeah, it kind of needs to be 2 people at all times. So we'll see. Probably not this one anyway.
When you say in the same week, do you mean like squat, bench, and deadlift on one day and then run? Or?
Well, originally it was like over the week. Yeah. Yeah, so it was like if I squat Monday, bench Wednesday, whatever. But I'm thinking it might actually be easier to just do a meet and then run a week later or a week before.
As in like the start of that. Yeah. That makes sense. I watched this like little YouTube clip of this guy who did this. I think he did, I can't remember what his total was, but he did something similar and ran a ridiculous like amount on the same day.
Yeah.
So he like vlogged the whole day.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous. I'm like, you fucking hate yourself. Like, I'm like, you cannot do that for any other reason. The pain and the torture you are putting yourself through. And he was in the UK, so it's like 9 o'clock at night, like freezing cold, pitch black. He'd like already done his SBD, I think, by midday, and then started the run at like 1 and was running until like 9.
Fuck that.
And I had to do it within a certain amount of time. And I was like, fuck. And then the next thing I thought was, that's something Ben would do.
Not distance, man.
Nah,
no way.
yeah.
I'm just not here for it.
At least it's just short.
Yeah.
Over and done with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not running for me long distances isn't it. I used to ride a lot when I was a kid. We used to do like these 24-hour pedal pre-races. So I used to ride like 100 Ks a week for training for that, which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, running. When I was boxing, the coach was like, you have to run 5Ks every weekend, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'd do 3 and just be like, I'm so fucking bored.
Yeah.
Like, I was so fit that it was fine, but I just
get
was bored. I just hated it. So,
yeah.
I like to pretend to be fast instead.
Yeah. Videos, stories.
Look, they're getting better. That's all that we can metric.
Yeah, they are. I always say to you, like, every time, I'm like, you actually look really fast.
Yeah, getting 10 kilos lighter helps.
Yeah, it would. less weight to lug around.
Yeah, it's still not enough. Trying to keep up with Tam, because Tam's getting faster every week as well. So fuck, slow down, bro.
Tam would be good at running.
Stop passing me.
That's so funny. All right, well, if you guys are still around and listening, we are going to cover the topic of goal setting primarily from the guide that we have online. So before we go into the content, then it's probably a good time to tell you to go and reference that. So if you haven't yet downloaded it, you can find it on the resources list of our website. So if you just head to the link in the STCfit Instagram bio.
Yeah, stcfit.com/goals.
Yeah, you'd be able to find it there.
Yeah.
So I guess like it's a good time to like rehash goal setting, because I think like January is a bit of a write-off for most people. Maybe they have a pipe dream for what they want to achieve, but they haven't actually thought about it, because like every single weekend is still like, you know, full of social events. And then February comes and everyone's kind of reflecting on the last 2 months, and they're like, oh, fuck.
It's kind of, I was kind of thinking the same. Like, I think we talked about it, like, oh, it'd be good to get a goal setting one out in early Jan. But at the same time, it's almost not. No one cares. Yeah, no one takes it seriously enough. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to be happier. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take care of myself. What? Like, there's no...
Very vague,
yeah. It's just like an idea of... And, like, look, they probably have an image of what that means in their head, but the way that they express it kind of just suggests there hasn't been enough thought put into it. So it's actually a good time now that, like, everyone's back at work, school's back, life's back to normal, routine sort of back. There's all my clients now are like, hey, can we do all this silly season drinking on the weekend stuff is done. Like, can we do a cut now sort of thing? So I think it is a good time to actually, even if you set New Year's resolutions, it's probably a good time now to take a step back and review them in terms of quality, and B, whether they are, like, if they actually fit a structure of a good goal or not.
Yeah, I think, like, the vague goals is a really big one. Even, like, just sitting back and, like, a lot of people would have got outcome-based goals, you know, like, I want to lose 5 kilos, or I want to, like, you know, lose 10 kilos or squat a certain amount of weight. But that's kind of, like, where it ends. Yeah. And it's like we just set that goal and just, like, cross your fingers and hope that you get there by the end of 2022. Yeah. So even taking that one step further, and more so than goal setting, it's like, what does that actually look like? Like, what does that look like from a day-to-day basis, a week-to-week basis? And, like, what would you actually need to do differently to what you're doing now that would allow you to get there? Because, like, what you're doing right now probably isn't going to be that. So, like, even taking the time to assess the changes and reverse engineer what your lifestyle looks like, your routines, your habits, because ultimately just, like, setting that goal and just doing what you already have done isn't going to be the thing that, like, magically gets you there.
Yeah, and, like, losing the 5 kilos, and we'll go deeper into this, but, like, it's not about losing the 5 kilos. It's about being the person that lost 5 kilos.
Yeah.
And that's the outcome that you really want. Like, yes, you want to look better by losing 5 kilos. It's like, there's an attachment to how you feel and how you perceive yourself and all that kind of stuff. 5 kilos lighter that you're aiming for, and sometimes it's just either you haven't thought about it enough, or you haven't conceptualized it in a way that allows you to really appreciate this is actually a change in me, not the scale.
Yeah.
And when people, like, we talk about getting attached to the scale and stuff all the time, and how it's like, we don't want to do that. We take photos, measurements, and scale weight, and they're all data, blah blah blah. And I think losing sight of that, it's a change in yourself. It's putting W's in the win column. I think is lost quite a lot.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I was thinking about this on the way here, and I was thinking the exact same thing, where it's like, the goal isn't it. It's in order for you to actually have that and then build on it next year, and not, you know, revert backwards to your old ways. It's like you need to change yourself at a core level, because like, it's the goal's not doing that. It's the vision of who you are, who you're being, how you act, what you value. It's all of those things that contribute to you having that goal. And if you don't do that, then you'll just bounce back. Yeah. And it's like, that's not it. Yeah. Like, you actually haven't achieved that goal. Maybe you did for a split second and it felt good, and you got this, like, validation that you'd achieved something. But if you didn't build on that after the goal, then it's kind of redundant.
Yeah, if you didn't actually change anything, and that's where, like, we talk about the 8 and 12 week challenge and the shake diet and all that shit. It's like, if that doesn't actually change, I don't want to say who you are, but, like, change how you present and how you behave over a long enough period of time that it really gives you what you were looking for. Yeah. And then you just resort back into the old habits, because you haven't actually changed anything at a core level, like you said. So we'll give so Tam's gone and ruined this study for us. He can't find the actual study, and there could be a chance that it actually doesn't exist.
But we're just going to pretend.
But we're going to quote it anyway, because it's in all of our content, and it actually fucking works. Yeah. And everyone that I know, and I literally wrote a unit for Standout PT where I, like, did the math on a couple of people that had certain levels of goals, and where we had our goals, and, like, the math played out fucking perfect. So
it's proven.
Yes, it's like, fuck
the
it.
Harvard study.
It's evidence-based. Yeah, we'll call it the STCfit study now, based on N of 2. So 85, the theory goes, the Harvard study, quote unquote, goes 83% of the population don't have goals, 14% of the population do have plans but no written goals, and only 3% of the population have goals written down. Just an interesting thing. I remember a motivational kind of speaker dude, early, before I actually went into PT, I was still in sales, saying that 3% of the population control 97% of the wealth.
I've heard that before, yeah.
And I was like, well, that's fucking an interesting correlation there in this fake study that we can't find. So not
legit.
so not surprisingly, of the above people, the 14% were 10 times more successful than the 83%. So the people who just at least had a plan were 14 times 10 times more successful than the other group. And then the 3% were another 3 times more successful than that. So they were 30 times more successful than people who haven't really put a plan together.
Yeah.
And when we say haven't really put a plan together, I'm going to put people that said, like, I just want to be happy this year, or be true to myself this year, or whatever. Put myself first this year. Like, that's... Yeah. Like, I get it. I get it's, like, the message is behind great. And the intent is great. It's just not executed very well. So when you look at that and you think, like, 30 times more successful.
Yeah, it's like, what group would you rather sit in?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Yeah. And even... the monotony and like how tedious and boring this process can be for some people, maybe if like it's something you haven't done before, like I think if you're someone like us, you get excited about this and like revisiting our goals on a quarterly basis, like I look forward to that. And that's probably because we know the value in it, right? But if you don't know the value in it, you're like, oh, goal setting, like what a bore, I don't want to do that, I don't want to waste 2 hours on my Sunday like doing this shit. But I think if you then look at the statistics or the likelihood of you actually being successful, that's time well spent. Yeah. Like that's not just like time gone down the drain. So I think like even just thinking critically about like how you're spending your time and the way that you're approaching this task itself is important, because like I said, like if you value your outcomes, you should be willing to put a little bit of extra of your personal time aside to commit to this.
Yeah. So I have a couple of cool stories about that. We're going to talk about probably, I think we do vision boards at the end. But so that same year when I was in sales, we had to put like something on the front of our sales booklet to like suggest that this is what I'm working towards. This is my reward if I achieve my goals, blah, blah, blah. So I really wanted a white SSU at the time. I couldn't find for the life of me a decent picture on Google of a white SS. So I found a blue one. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I know what it means. It's the same car. It's just a different color. I'll put it on there. All sweet. Had a really good couple months, and then found a white ute that had everything I wanted. Couldn't get the finance done fast enough. It sold. 3 weeks later, this blue one came up. Not even fucking registering at all. Just bought it. Yeah. And then I pulled out that booklet, like, I reckon it was like 3 years later. And I was like, what the fuck?
Hang on a minute.
So then for our wedding, so I put our wedding on the vision board. Yeah. And our original plan was like, it was a cool place, but it was very curated where it was going to be. So Amy and I have a really strong attachment to Mount Macedon, spent lots of time up there. Our early dates and stuff are up there. So we wanted to have like Macedon, which is if you've been there, it's a very specific kind of like nature. I just can't think of a better word, but like certain trees and certain like grass and stuff. You can tell you're in Macedon when you're in Macedon. So our first venue was just off the mountain, but it was really curated with like really nice trees and lined fields and blah blah blah. It was awesome, and you could see the mountain, but it wasn't.
It's not it.
And Amy was like, oh, we might have to like try and get up there to do photos, blah, blah, blah. So then we were kind of getting into the backstage and we're like, fuck, like 90 people inside in the middle of winter. This is getting sketchy. Let's move it. So then we're like, oh, we'll try and find an Airbnb to like have that's on the mountain, shrink it, do it outside. Next minute, one of my old clients who's a mentor and friend of mine, so checking out his property, he's like, oh, why don't you have it here? Literally the photo that I have on my vision board is like the fucking field.
Really?
It's like, it's exactly, if you look at the picture and then put it up, you're like, that's the same place.
Yeah, that's
Couldn't
crazy.
believe it. Couldn't believe it. It's like, we even planned it and it fucked up and we ended up in this other place that's exactly the same. So I think, like as much as the study may or may not exist.
There's validity to it.
I've seen it enough times in myself and in other people that it's come together stupidly accurate.
Yeah, and it's not even just like having the thing there. It's like, yes, you go and put this like image or like reflection of what that outcome is down on paper, But as a result of that, and we get to the be, do, have in a minute, but you start to then be that person and you put that out there, and that's what allows you to get to that point. It's not because you went and stuck a photo of you there, or because you had this idea that, you know, your wedding would be on this mountain. It's all of the things that happen as a result of that, and changes that you make consciously or subconsciously. I'm gonna start sounding like Amy Beth, but it's true. And I think that, like, you know, people get really caught up, especially when it comes to like mindset and goal setting, and, you know, having this like outcome with this like generic base, you know, just put a vision board together, or just think positive, or you know, it's just like very one-dimensional. And it's more than that. It's like the changes that you're making on a daily basis that get you to that point.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, not so much the car, because I was young and not goal setting. That was like it for me. But like the wedding, for example, like that's been on my goal setting sheet for probably 3, 4, 5 years. Like that's going to happen around this time and that kind of thing. So it's like, it's, again, like you said, it's not just it came out of thin air. And what we're going to go into now is like values. Looking at having those values set out, I had to actually adjust what my core values were, or how I was expressing them, at least, to make that happen. So I guess like we'll give a practical use for this part. So core values for us are like the things that you deem most important in your life. So I know a few examples like I have on mine's like contribution, work ethic, growth and learning, love, which is kind of relationships overall. No, I always forget what the 5th one is. Do you know yours off the top of your head?
Mine are those 4. And fun.
As we sit here dressed in exactly the same thing.
With the same hat this morning.
So yeah, like I think if you go away and you can just Google like core values, and you'll get a list of like 100.
I think we might have a link on...
It's in there?
Yeah, I think it might be in there.
So just go to stcfit.com/goal.
Yeah.
And you can download the list of the goals. And the best way to do the exercise, which is, again, it's in the content, but pick your top 5 or pick your top 10 values that you deem to be most important. Then of that top 10, separate them into the 5 that you're executing really, really well, and then push them into the 5 that you maybe not executing as well as you should be, or as you would like to be. So my one was like the relationships one. It was like work was number 1, training was number 2, and then everybody else was number 3. Yeah. It's like, that's probably not going to like service your life into your 30s, Ben.
Want to get married?
Yeah. It's like
not doing things.
Yeah, it's like time to grow up a little bit. So that had to shift for me to then create that outcome. And that's like, cool, big, doesn't maybe sound like it relates to fitness, but it does. Because, and I actually presented on goals to the trainers yesterday, so I'm trying to keep it around training, not business. But if you're thinking about like getting in shape, getting stronger, building muscle, whatever it is that is on your goal list at the moment, there's a high possibility that if you just did all the shit that you said you were going to do previously, you'd already have it. Yeah. So it's not about like changing that. It's like you all you had to do was execute. Yeah. Like, you don't need this magic fucking fat loss pill or whatever. Like, most people are aware that if you just did what you said you were going to do, you'd probably be in a better position than where you are now. So how do we actually facilitate that? Well, the most effective way I think we've found is attaching values to those goals.
So like for us, we both said like work ethic, growth and learning. So I find training to be really, really good outlets for both of those. Yeah. It's like I tend to like, I think that's what drew me to powerlifting so much. It's like it's the perfect rep is so hard to find. And you get it every now and then and it gets you coming back and it just goes away straight away again. So I think that's part of that training for me. And now like going into trying to run at the size of a fridge is the same thing. It's like, well, I have to totally change my physical body to be able to achieve that, which is always a challenge, and thinking about things a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the values, attaching the goals to the values is on the money, because like a lot of people will set that goal and then not do the thing and then sit back and say, I'm just not committed right now. You know, maybe I'll try again later. And
it's like, motivated, mate.
Yeah, I'm not motivated. I'm not committed right now. Like, it's just not the right time. Yeah. Like, that's when the excuses start to filter through. And I think that if you were to just have a look at where your priorities were and what you were doing and, started to maybe align those things a little bit differently, it's probably not a matter of, you being motivated or disciplined or committed right now, because like that's not going to change in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
That's not going to change like just by magic or by accident. Like you're going to have to change things intentionally to like want to do the thing at some point. Yeah. So I think like having a framework there to be able to reflect back on and like assess yourself, like why aren't I committed right now?
Yeah.
Like why isn't this a priority to me? Why aren't I doing the thing that I should be doing? Because just pushing it back another 6 months isn't going to change anything.
Yeah, and it works both ways really, really effectively, because it also like exposes that lose 10 kilos goal.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that mean? What the 10 kilos is like, yeah, cool, you'll look and feel better and maybe have some more confidence. But what you're really looking for is the wins along the way to get the 10 kilos off, and who you're going to be and how you're going to feel at the end of that.
Yeah.
So what values are you expressing on a daily basis to achieve that actually is going to give you fulfillment? Because like you're not going to stay motivated to losing 10 kilos. Like some people, rare happens. What's the rebound rate? Like 97% of diets end in weight regain. So it's like, we know that it doesn't work. So what is it that you want to do on a daily basis? And then that in time sometimes can also determine like what your approach is.
Yeah.
So it's like we talked about, I think on I think it's episode 19, we sort of touched on this, and you were like, I find powerlifting fun.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. If you don't find getting under a weight that could kill you fun, don't fucking do it. If fun is like a primary goal in your value system, like if you find boxing class fun, go and do that. You know what I mean? Like it allows you to find what actually matters to you, why it matters to you, and then to live daily in expression of that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because literally this morning when we were talking about the lift off, I was like, yeah, cool, my goal right now is to drop some body fat, but that alone isn't exciting to me. So I need a training goal. Yeah. So to help me with that, I'll go and do the lift off. Yeah. Like, because training like for hypertrophy just isn't it for me. It doesn't excite me. I'm not like, jumping out of bed wanting to go to the gym. But if it's something like training for the lift off or like for a meet or something, like that's exciting to me. So it's like, okay, cool. Well, in order to get my training to the level that it needs to be at to get this result, I'll need to go and outsource or source out this thing that I need to work towards, because it's not going to happen otherwise. Yeah. So I think even having the ability to reflect on like, why isn't this clicking right now, and what do I need to do differently to be able to have that, is really important.
Yeah, and I think I learned this in our last prep. It's like I did not have a good time during that prep at all.
Me too.
And it was like, okay, why? One of my goals is work ethic, and it's like, okay, cool. But I was expressing work ethic already in my job.
Yeah.
Like career. I don't even like calling it a job.
Yeah.
The thing that I do most of the time. So much so that it was actually eating into my ability to apply a remainder amount of work ethic into the training. The training was fine. It was everything outside of that. I wasn't doing the rehab. I wasn't doing the cardio. I wasn't doing all the shit that would allow me to feel good. So then when I did train, it was shit. So it's like, okay, well, how do I fix that?
Yeah.
It's like, well, let's change the goal to something that doesn't require as much time, that leans more into that growth and learning challenge. I'm not going to be a fucking national level sprinter.
Yeah.
Like, qualify for nationals in powerlifting, but I'm definitely not going to be a fucking national level sprinter, and I actually don't want to be. I just want to like be able to move, and it's an outlet for me later to be able to get on the floor and maybe play with future kids and shit like that, because I can't play with my nieces and nephews at the moment. So it's like that, okay, where am I distributing the energy around each value that I have as well? Am I overloading one and just work ethic is everything? Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, cool. When are you fitting in the relationship part? When are you fitting in the growth and learning part? And so it's like, if you're chipping away at the moment, we talked about the lift off and the photo shoot, and a lot of my clients are like, yeah, but like I would say 90% of them are going to do one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's because like they want that growth element to their training.
Yeah.
They don't want to care about the scale anymore. Yeah. They want to be able to, like, one of my clients has been dieting for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Straight, came back, did a maintenance phase, all of a sudden she's starting to get strong. She's like, oh, can I do the lift off? Can I do the photo shoot? Can I do this? It's like, they're really scary, but I want to do it. It's like that switch now has gone to, she experienced winning.
Yeah. It was like, how do I get
it was like, that was a challenge. So I would hazard a guess, growth and learning is probably in her top 5 as well, where it's like, okay, I won. I experienced what that felt like. It feels fucking awesome, and I want to keep doing that. And beating myself up over the scales probably isn't the best way to do that. So let's choose these other big scary goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And obviously we've both experienced that personally, and we see it with our clients. My clients are definitely seeing the same thing now. I've got a client who exactly the same thing was like, I have been dieting for ages. Can we just sit at maintenance? I want to focus on my strength. And like every single check-in, the comment has been, do we have a date yet? Do we have a date yet? Do we have a date? I'm like, no, we don't. I'll talk to the boys. No, we don't. I'll talk to the boys. No, we don't. But I'm like, sick. Like, that's cool, because rewind 6 months ago and she was like hyper focused on the scale, and all she could think about was dieting and fat loss, and like that was just like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, that's just stopped. And it's like, I know what this feels like now to achieve something that I didn't think was possible. I know what it feels like to move a weight that I didn't think I was capable of. Like, she's gotten under the bar and like, so be it, purposely failed or got to the point where she's failed her lifts in a safe way just to see what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool, let's not do that all the time. Next week she's like, I feel like shit. I'm like, I know. But again, it's like seeking out that feeling. So it's like, okay, well, I know I can chase that, and I know I can get better from that point.
Yeah.
Like, I know where the line is for me right now, and I know that, you know, in 6 months' time, like, that's the standard, that's the bar. And like, that's really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think it's just so valuable looking across the different variety of people that would listen to, say, this podcast or be involved with us. Like, I have office workers that just train because they kind of need to. They enjoy it, but not like you and I do.
Yeah.
Right through to people who are like, I want to be on the podium at nationals.
Yeah.
Like, that whole broad spectrum. And it's simply because they express different values in their training. So they set goals based on what those values are and how they want to express them. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, when you do that, there's no right or wrong. Like, you're not getting caught up in like, well, this person's doing this, so I should do that, or like, I'm a piece of shit because I can't reach their standard.
Yeah.
It's like, all you need to do is look back on what's important to you, and like, then all that comparison bullshit stops, and you know, you stop beating yourself up because you're not where someone else is, because that's not where you want to be. Yeah. Like, that's not what's important to you. So I think that is a really valuable lesson to learn.
Yeah. And there's people out there that'll be like, yeah, but I just want to lose weight. And it's like, you still will. That's the point.
Yeah, that's the byproduct of all of this.
Yeah, so if we go into like setting the goals themselves, so we've got a template on the website which goes through your 3, 6, 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year. And it's hilarious. Every single time we do it, it's like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 and 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like, well, where are you headed?
Yeah.
Because not thinking about that and just thinking about, I want to lose 10 kilos in 12 weeks, it's like, how does that work out for you?
Yeah.
How's that worked out for you for the last 5 years? Because I bet you've been pursuing something for about that long.
Yeah. I think that the short-term, long-term goals is an interesting thing, because you kind of get like two types of people. So it's like, there's one person who's setting like short-term goals that are the bar's really low, and it's just so you can say like, I've achieved that thing. And it's like, you just want the validation or the gratification of like ticking something off, but you haven't even like pushed past your like capabilities of like what's actually possible. Yeah. So it's like, you could lose 10 kilos, but you're like, oh, I'll just settle for 5. Yeah. And you hear it all the time in a consult. It's like, oh, I'd be really happy with 60 kilos, but 57 would be amazing, but I don't think that that's realistic. Yeah. It's like, you're cutting yourself short because like, that's what's comfortable. Yeah. So a lot of people are going to set like the shorter term goal that's just like, you know, comfortable, that we happy, but maybe not like overjoyed with what they could do. And then you get the other side where it's like the longer term goal that is so far ahead that we haven't actually mastered what needs to happen first to get that thing. Yeah. So it's like, I'd love to lose 20 kilos. And like, all we're thinking about is 20 kilos, 20 kilos, 20 kilos. That we just get sidetracked from what actually needs to happen today, tomorrow, next week to get that.
Yeah, I think that's the key to good goals. Like, we actually had dinner on Saturday night with a multi-millionaire investment banker. And Amy was like, so what makes you keep showing up? Like, why why are you still doing it? And it's like, is it about the money? Like, he's like, he goes, money's lifestyle, but it's also score. So it's like, these goals, losing 10 kilos, is keeping score on how well you're expressing your values. So it becomes like when you go do the 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goals, it's like they're just markers that allow you to know whether or not you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So if you want to change and be, because it's like you do want to lose the 20 kilos, but what's more important is being the person that's lost 20 kilos. You want to feel that confident in yourself. You want to have that much kind of power and control over your life and your choices, and be empowered by all of that. So the 20 kilos is the metric to say, tick,
I've done that.
I stayed in line with my values and achieved an outcome based on that, rather than that being the primary thing.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. The guilt thing comes up a lot where it's like, oh, I didn't do this on the weekend. Like, I feel guilty. And like, people want to be told, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty. That's fine. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, fuck, of course you're going to feel guilty because you behaved out of alignment with what you said was important to you.
Yeah.
So, like, you probably should feel a bit guilty.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, like, no one wants to hear.
Yeah.
But, like, that's the reality check. Like, that's the thing that's going to get you to go, oh, fuck, like,
Yeah.
you're right. I didn't.
One of two things is true there. Either you behaved outside of alignment with your values, and so, of course, you feel like shit, or you've set the wrong targets.
And it wasn't
and
important
it doesn't
to you
actually
to begin
align with your
with.
values, and
Yeah.
now you've convinced yourself that you need to do that, even though you don't.
You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, a lot of people can resonate with that. Like, maybe you've chosen a goal for the wrong reason. You've looked at someone else, or, like, whatever it might be. Like, you've set a target that maybe wasn't for you then and there. And, like, that's totally fine. Have the ability to reflect on that and then make the change instead of just sitting there and, you know, being victim to the fact that you didn't do what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of just letting that take over what happens in future and what you set for yourself moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so now is where we get to what we've kind of been speaking about this entire time.
Yeah.
Which is like the outcome-based goals and how that relates to the Be Do Have method.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about this for years. And I think that this is where the magic happens. Like, if you can master this, or if you can at least think about it, like at the end of the week, assess how that week went, what needs to change next week, because this is the stuff that feeds into what you put on your calendar, what's important to you, what you make time for. And if you're doing that, then the outcome's a byproduct.
Yeah.
So the Be Do Have method, basically, it's like we want to, again, be that person who has the outcome first without even having it. And it sounds counterproductive because it's like, well, how the fuck do I do that? How do I know what that feels like? How do I do that? And it's like reverse engineering. How does that person think? What do they do? How do they spend their time? Who are they hanging out with? All of the minute details of that person's like day to day. And how can you then, like, what do you need to change? What do you need to do differently to make that a part of your lifestyle right now so you have that thing?
Yeah, 100%. And like in Be Bulletproof, we go through like that visualization experiment to just like, so we use that. Most people that listen to us maybe aren't the 20 kilo fat loss people. They're probably like athletic level body fat or like a certain total or something like that, like a different level of goal.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking about the goals, who do I need to be to achieve that goal? And then going through what do they prioritize? What do they eat? How do they train? How often do they train? How do they sort out their sleep? How do they like list all the things of what they would do? And then, and this is your favorite part because it's like mad ego death. List all the things that you currently do that they don't. And then it's like, oh, fuck, okay. So
yeah, I'm not where I thought I was.
yeah, so in terms of, and a good way to explain it is like, you don't become a bodybuilder the day you step on stage. For example, like the chicken and broccoli doesn't start when you're shredded. You do the chicken and broccoli to get shredded.
First, yeah.
Same with powerlifting. It's like you don't just start
Getting
lifting heavy
strong.
barbells on the day of competition. You have to do it for a long time out. So it's really important to identify that and think like, well, I have to behave now as that person who has the outcome already.
Yeah.
Do what they do day in, day out, and then I will have that outcome.
Yeah, and it's not even a matter of like when you set that goal, think about this stuff. It's like think about this stuff every morning, every week, like every month, and then think about it again, like when you go to sleep, when you finish the week. Like this is the stuff that should be at the front of your mind constantly, because as soon as you let that slip, like that's where the behaviors creep in that are out of alignment. And if you haven't thought about that and reflected on that, then there goes 3 months and you're like, oh fuck, I've gone over my calories every day for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Why did that happen?
Yeah.
So again, it's one of those things where it's like we don't just set this and then let that happen or roll out and don't come back to it. We need to be revisiting this stuff consistently. Otherwise, like we're only human, right? Like we're not robots. None of us are robotic. So we need to have a structure there that pulls us back in, because like things are gonna pull us out of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm not a mantra guy. Well, I didn't think I was.
I think you are.
Yeah, and I've noticed over time there's 2 things that I've repeatedly said to myself for as long as I can remember. One of them, and it sounds competitive, but it's actually aimed at myself. It's like, you didn't come here to come second. And it's actually not about losing to anyone else. It's about losing to myself. It's like I have to be continually progressing beyond where I was. Like what I did yesterday is second. Like I'm not here for that. And then the other one's, who do you want to be? So it's like before a training session, I don't want to do. It's like, who are you going to be? Under a load that I don't want to squat, who are you going to be? Yeah. The meal that you don't want to eat, who are you going to be? It's like asking that question to myself unconsciously for a long period of time has been the success that I've had has been off the back of that.
Yeah, and I think like that also invites like a lot of choice as well, because it's really easy once you set these goals and like have these things that you want to work towards, and then obviously life happens. It allows you to have a lot of choice with how you choose to behave when shit hits the fan. Yeah. So it's like, okay, like my day's turned to shit, but who would I want to be when my day turns to shit? Yeah. Because it's like, okay, well then I don't just sit back and let those circumstances like dictate what happens for the rest of the day or for the rest of the week or the month if you're that type of person. Yeah. So I think as well, like having that idea that you still have the ability to choose like no matter what, it just gives you a lot more power.
Yeah, and I think like this is probably more for Amy Beth than us, but like a lot of people obviously have a restriction over what they believe they can be. But I think the main way to move past that is winning. So it's like every time you make a decision that aligns with who you want to be, it's like that's a W. Yeah. And the more W's that you have, the greater your kind of, I guess, in the vision that you have of what you could possibly be yourself gets bigger, wider and wider and wider. So it's like you have more choice in who do I want to be in that space. And
it's probably a good time to like touch on the idea of pass fail goals. So like obviously your bigger, broader goals, it's like make them specific, make them, you know, something that you either did or you didn't achieve. But you can even take that to your non-negotiables checklist and look at what you did that day. And it's like, did I do that or didn't I do that? Because for most people, it's like, oh, yeah, I didn't, but this happened and then that happened. And then you can make all these excuses. So I think getting really, like just brutally honest with yourself and like blunt about it. It's like, did I pass or did I fail? And using that as that metric, because like that's the honest truth about it.
And getting comfortable with the L.
Yeah, and it's not saying that you're never going to fail. Yeah. But it's actually looking at
you
that.
You fucking will, like
and
almost
not
every
avoiding
day.
it 100%.
Like it's getting, and that is really rewarding as well. Because just as much as people need wins to build in confidence, they also need to fear losing less. Yeah,
well, and as soon as you said mantra, I thought of the one that I like, which is like the master's failed more times than the student has tried. Yeah. So it's like, it's not to say to be the best version of yourself, you're never going to fail. It's getting comfortable with the fact that you're going to fail and then being able to go again. Yeah. Which is what a lot of people tend to lack.
So in terms of action steps for that, a really good idea is to go and have a look and write down. You can use, obviously we have it in the content there as well. Write down all the things that you need to improve to become the person who has the outcomes that you're working towards. And then identify like what's missing, what they do have, what you don't have, and then start like, okay, they're the things I need to focus on, whether it's daily habits or like routines or whatever it is and start behaving more like that person.
And get specific with it. Like, it's not just like wake up earlier to train. It's like wake up at this time to train at this time, this many times per week on this day, and this day.
Yeah. Yeah, 100.
What Ben kind of touched on at the beginning, which was like creating that vision and having it somewhere that you see it all the time, that you're constantly reminded of it, that you know, that just kind of like brings you back. So when you're about to make a decision that's like maybe a little bit out of alignment with what you want, you've got that little reminder.
Yeah.
So before you get to that point where you're like, oh, I feel guilty that I did this, you can see it and go, oh, that's probably going to make me feel shit tomorrow if I do that. So maybe I'll make a different choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used vision boards for probably 10 years. The best way to go about it, I think, is just I do it on my phone. I just use an app, grab a bunch of photos that represent, the images just represent an outcome to me. Obviously, they're more longer term. They're usually around that 12 month sort of mark. Yeah. They're in chronological order in terms of how I want to get them done. And then it's every time I open my phone, it's there. Yeah. And it's like we said, it's crazy how like the wedding turned into the wedding in the picture. And I'm not into like the secret or anything like that, but it is freaky that kind of comes around that way. Yeah. So yeah, again, it goes through that in the content of exactly how to set that up, but have something that's visual, that like something attached to it that means something to you that you can look at on a regular basis and just be like, this is why I'm showing up. Yeah.
Yeah. I think doing that on an almost daily basis, if not like, morning, evening, actually spending some time thinking about what that would feel like is something that is incredibly undervalued. Yeah. Because for a lot of people, we haven't got there yet. So we actually don't think we know what it feels like, but you do. Yeah. Like if you actually sit there and think about it, you know what that feels like to have that thing. It's why you want it. Yeah. So if you just spend a little bit of time sitting in that place, it'll blow your mind how much it actually changes how you behave, the way that you think, choices that you make. Like it's insane.
Yeah. And I think like I'm the guy that goes and parks outside of the house that's for sale, even though I don't plan to buy one for 3 years. Yeah. Like I go to the car dealership to like, oh, that's the I made it car, and I look at it and like that's the thing. Yeah. But it amazes me like how many powerlifters have never been to a powerlifting meet when they do their first meet. It's like, how do you like go there? Imagine what it's like to do it. Imagine what it's like to execute. If that's a goal for you, like go, if you want to be an elite level powerlifter, for example, it's like you should be a pro row every fucking year.
Yeah, put yourself in that environment.
What's it going to be like up in front of 2,000 people pulling your last deadlift? Yeah. Like get inside that as much as possible, and whatever your goal is, get around it, taste it, smell it, feel it as much as you possibly can mentally. And if you can get somewhere that is going to give you more tactile like tangible feeling of what that's going to be like, just immerse yourself in it.
Yeah, and it might be something as simple as changing the gym that you train at. Yeah. Like just putting yourself in a different environment where maybe there's people who are a little bit higher level than what you're at right now. If maybe you're stuck in the cycle of, doing body fit classes or group classes that are restricting you from where you'd like to be, then it's like, okay, cool. Maybe I need to take myself into an environment where people are training a little bit differently. Yeah. And it's not to say there's anything right or wrong, but if you want X, like then we need to have a think about what needs to change and how you can put yourself in that environment first, because it's not going to happen. What you want isn't going to happen where you are right now. Yeah,
I think that's a good spot.
I would say it's a good spot to leave it.
So we went lots of different places today. The resource is very structured, very do this, very step by step. Really easy to follow for you guys. So it's stcfit.com/goals. It's obviously in the notes. Tam will put it in there. Yeah. Because he's awesome and he will do that. Before we finish up though, if you're on Spotify, just open the app and go to the home screen of the STCfit podcast and just give us a little 5 stars, please. You can do a review if you like. Hey, while you're there, just share it to Instagram and tag it. And if you're watching on YouTube, do the same thing. Please just hit the like button and subscribe. Like we said at the start of the episode, it is really cool just to have people who never sign up with us, so we never know, that get outcomes, but it also, those little things make a really big difference for how much reach this stuff gets and how many eyeballs get to see it. So if you could do that, if you got any value out of it, The resource itself doesn't even ask for an email. There's literally no fee for it at all. We don't even collect your data or anything. So if you could just do us a solid and give us the likes and shares, we'll call it even.
Yeah, and if you do it, like, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think, how you found it. We always want to hear feedback on this stuff. We want to make the changes. If you have any, recommendations, so like our DMs are always open, like our personal, the STCfit page. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So I'm at Ben Scott STC.
I'm at Nat Jurek STCfit.
And then at STCfit.
And that's it.
STCfit on all the YouTubes and podcasts
all the
things.
Interweb.
Yeah. We're trying to own the first page of Google, which I think we do now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you search STCfit, I think we own the first 2 pages.
Oh, that's sick. We made it. We're done. We can go now. We're out.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys.